The human brain receives 11 million bits of information from the environment every single second. But the brain does not keep all of this noise. Therefore, it only holds on to a tiny fraction, about 40 bits of data at any given moment. But to make the rest of this story easy to follow, let's meet a new friend named David. The moment David walks into a room, he immediately notices a picture frame hanging slightly crooked on the wall. Or when talking to a friend, he instantly senses the tiniest shift in their tone of voice. Therefore, subtle changes in people's clothes or quiet background noises that others ignore are completely obvious to him. He naturally observes every little detail much better than anyone else. But because of this, David often believes he is just an overthinker or someone who is constantly suspicious of others. But what he doesn't know is that the information filter in his brain works in a completely different way compared to most people. Normally, when David meets a friend who is smiling, he can immediately feel the tiny tension hiding in their eyes. Or when he goes to work, if a coffee mug has been moved slightly on his desk, he doesn't even have to look for it. Therefore, his eyes catch it instantly. But David doesn't see these things because he is trying hard. Instead, his eyes and his mind are naturally drawn to these shifts without any conscious effort. But constantly noticing every tiny detail creates a lot of inner restlessness and mental pressure for him. Therefore, while other people feel completely relaxed, David often feels like his mind is running at full speed without a break. But what is the actual science behind this interesting mental state? In psychology, this cognitive trait is known as low latent inhibition. But in reality, what David is experiencing is often a complex blend of this trait, high sensory sensitivity, and hypervigilance. To put it simply, while an average brain works like a filter that blocks out unnecessary details, David's internal filter is much looser. Therefore, his mind lets in almost everything around him. But there is a silent catch that most people don't talk about. Processing all of this information can overload the mind's natural capacity. Therefore, David often experiences a deep mental exhaustion. He feels tired very quickly in crowded places or loud environments. His brain tries to analyze every single detail at the same time. Therefore, it leads to a high amount of daily stress. But despite this struggle, this highly observant mind also allows David to experience the world in a way that most people can never understand. For instance, after talking to a friend, David might spend hours wondering, do they secretly dislike me? Are they hiding something? But his brain isn't just overreacting. Instead, it is trying to protect him by gathering subtle facial changes and voice shifts to analyze if there is any social threat. Therefore, while David thinks he is just being anxious, his subconscious mind is actually trying to read the real emotions behind people's social masks. Therefore, David may pick up on subtle social cues and story inconsistencies that others completely miss. Even a tiny mismatch in someone's behavior stands out to his brain instantly. But this is not a perfect lie detector. Instead, his mind is simply highly sensitive to changes in his immediate environment. Therefore, David is extremely careful when building relationships in real life. He doesn't trust people quickly because he senses their hidden insincerity early on. This is why David's circle of friends is very small. His primary focus is always on protecting his emotional peace and safety. But no matter how hard he tries to stay safe, this constant awareness can sometimes make him feel like he is losing his freedom and happiness. Therefore, he often lives with a quiet, lingering worry that something might go wrong at any moment. So, we've looked at what it's like to live with a mind that sees everything. But what is the positive side of this unique trait? Psychological studies show that when this cognitive trait is combined with a high IQ, it correlates strongly with high creative achievement. Therefore, individuals who possess both are highly creative and show an amazing ability to find unique solutions to complex problems. But without high cognitive processing power to organize the data, this unfiltered flood of information can actually lead to confusion, sensory overload, or even show a link to psychosis. Some scientists hypothesize that this could be an evolutionary survival strategy passed down from our ancestors. Under this hypothesis, during the tribal era, it was the individuals who noticed a rustling leaf or a sudden shadow in the forest who saved the entire tribe from danger. Therefore, David's brain might still be operating with this ancient hypothesized survival mechanism. He doesn't see all of these details because he is weak, but he sees them because his mind is trying its best to keep him and his loved ones safe. Out of the millions of bits of data entering the human mind, people like David notice more because they have a unique setup. Therefore, their sharp vision is actually their greatest asset. What is the most surprising little detail that has ever stood out like this? Let us know in the comments below. If you love learning about psychology and the secrets behind human behavior, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Have a great day.